Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Rachel Horning. I am one of the partners at Ripple Effects. We're a virtual event production and strategy studio. And today we are so excited to have Chad Rogers, the Chief Revenue Officer from Lemonlight, with us in conversation. He's going to talk all about various use cases for video, especially during a pandemic. We are super excited to have Chad with us. And I just wanted to tell a quick story before I hand the mic off to Chad about working with Lemonlight. Zach, who is actually our technical moderator today, Zach and I have a company called Startups in the Sky together. And Chad was so generous. This was probably 4 years ago now, brought an entire crew of videographers into downtown LA, recorded a lot of different B-roll and interviews with various people, and produced the most beautiful promotional video for us, and has just been such an amazing collaborator over the years. So we are so excited to have you, Chad. I know you've got an awesome presentation teed up to share with everyone today. So everyone, take some notes. We're going to have a Q&A session at the very end of the presentation. So Chad is going to share his presentation today, and then we're actually going to have a moderated Q&A between him and I, and then we're going to open it up to all of you to ask your questions in the chat feature here on Zoom. So without further ado, Chad, take it away.
All right. So yeah, a little about me. We are a video production company. We're a content studio here in Los Angeles. We have created nearly 10,000 videos in seven short years. I'm the co-founder, chief revenue officer. So I oversee all the accounts here at Lemonlight. We work with brands ranging from startups to really large enterprise level brands. So really spans the gamut. In that time, we've obviously gained a lot of insights and gotten a lot of learnings from the past 7 years and all these videos we created, and excited to share them with you today. So today we're going to focus on, we have four parts of this webinar. One, we're going to talk about why use video now. Next, we're going to talk about how to create captivating content. 3, best practices for the current climate. And then 4th, we're going to do a Q&A. Cool. So why use video now? So we're going to discuss some of the current challenges that brands are facing. Number one, affordability, right? We are obviously dealing with a pandemic. We are dealing with a possible recession. So how do we navigate these times? How do we produce content affordably? Number one, it's go lean, but don't skimp on quality. I think that's an important one. So what I mean by go lean is, forego all the extras. There's 2 things to really consider when you're making video. There's what we call production quality, and there's production value, right? So production quality is going to be the lighting, which I don't really have today. It's the sound, and it's the video quality, right? You want to make sure that you nail all 3 of those things when creating video content. The second one is going to be production value. So production value is all of the what changes from making like a Star Wars movie and you making an at-home video, right? So it's all the working parts that go into it, right? So do we have a hair and makeup person on set? Do you have a art director? Are we adding animations? Production value are all the extras that you can add on it to increase the value of the production. But let me kind of first and foremost say there are ways to make really, really high quality, great video content affordably, and there's ways to spend your entire budget. So I would say right now, really focusing on going lean, smaller crews, leaning out the extras is number one. So number two is pivoting from in-person to an online strategy, right? Understanding all the tools at your disposal, whether that's live streaming, webinars like we're doing today, utilizing the best social media platform to speak to your audience, start a podcast, start a web series, really figure out ways that you can actually speak to your audience online versus in person or some of these other traditional ways that you've spoken to your audience. And finally, breaking through the clutter. So this again is going to speak a little bit to production value, not production quality. So really understanding how you can separate yourself from your competition. Also, think about ways that you can do different types of content, right? Like what type of content does your customer base is going to resonate with? Is it going to be educational content? Is it more like emotive storytelling, like an emotional story? Tutorials? Is it like advice, right? Top fives, top tens? Maybe it's humor. So really try to find ways that you can separate yourself from the competition while also keeping that affordability with the production quality and production value. Great. So talking a little bit about the current power of video, right? So 80% of consumers have consumed more content since the coronavirus outbreak than they did before. You guys are all probably the part of these statistics, right? We're all at home. We're in front of our TVs. We are in front of our computers all day, every day, right? So COVID-19 has pushed people to spend less time participating in face-to-face activities and more time consuming digital content. This is great for marketers. This is an amazing opportunity to have more viewers, more impressions than we ever have before. It's estimated that by the end of 2020, the average person will watch 100 minutes of video content per day. With over an hour of video consumption per day, viewers are interested in video more than ever. They've increased video consumption trend, provides an opportunity for businesses and individuals to reach any type of audience. Product videos can increase purchases by 144%. Video content is continuing to increase website traffic and sales. Not only that, we're also seeing a lot of other types of media being used on these product pages, right? We're seeing AR functionality, so being able to see your product, if you have a product, in the lens of an AR functionality within apps like Shopify or Wayfair. Also, obviously Amazon's added video. There's plenty of resources on Amazon that tell you that having a video on your Amazon page increases your view of visibility on Amazon, as well as a lot of other platforms. Video generates 12 times more shares than text and images combined. In other words, video generates 1,200% more shares than both video and text. So if you are looking for shareability or virality, video increases your message, product, and brand reach. So I want to talk a little bit about some brands that have effectively, pivoted to video during the past 6 months. Number one is Match.com. They created an ad showing the relationship journey of a couple dating during quarantine over video chat. You've probably seen. I don't know if you're using these the dating apps. These were years ago for me, but if you are using the dating apps, many of them have now pivoted to more of a video strategy where you're able to video date. So this ad in particular actually showed a new couple learning to date via video, which was really cool. Two was Logitech. If you might be using a Logitech product currently. I'm using my computer camera, but a lot of people might be using Logitech products. So obviously this was a really big opportunity for them to get in front of their audience. They created an ad distributed on OTT, that's over the top, which we will actually talk about a little bit later today, and YouTube. Included UGC content of everyday real customers adapting to their new lives at home. Working, learning, etc., using Logitech products. It's effective because it touched emotionally. It's much more authentic when utilizing UGC, and also obviously in this kind of current climate, It's a much more, connects with your audience a lot more. So speaking of UGC, if you want to talk about UGC for a second. So here at Lemonlight, we were actually using UGC a little bit. I would say back in 2019, it works really well for Instagram ads, especially with product. However, we've obviously seen a lot of brands, not only with ad content, but also with branded content, start to utilize UGC more. In kind of the midst of the pandemic, we obviously leveraged UGC a lot because we weren't able to actually shoot anything during the shutdown. So really kind of having the know-how to create high quality video content with UGC content was really important. The benefit for you as a brand or an agency is to obviously the affordability of UGC content. Number two, another great thing is obviously if you have the opportunity to not only use real customers but influencers, you obviously have that lift that you can get with influencers that you're not going to get from kind of just regular customers. So that's another great opportunity is not only using customers but influencers. If you don't have access to influencers or customers, obviously you can always leverage actors or talent. As for distribution, I always say ABT, always be testing. The smallest changes can lead to dramatic changes in conversion. I mean, it can be as simple as changing the word from hungry to happy on screen can lead to double conversion. So always be testing these ads. Right. Let's talk about some more video content. How to create captivating content with your product. So benefits. So nearly every platform where you sell your product, whether that be Amazon, Alibaba, your own Shopify, Magento store, you can use video to better sell your product. As for production, make sure, one big thing is make sure to review the video guidelines on wherever your video is going. If you've ever run video ads before on Facebook, you'll probably know this. You probably get ads kicked back all the time. Same thing with Amazon. If you need more information on that, obviously on Amazon's website, Lemonlight on our resources page actually has a lot of information for every platform, whether that be Pinterest or Amazon or wherever. So just make sure that your videos or video ads meet those guidelines. And finally, product videos can be used on more than just a product page, right? So you can obviously take that same video that like lives on Amazon and you can run that as a video ad. You can use that in email. Use it in social media. You can get a lot of kind of long-term return from a product video. And finally, another great video. I would say this is probably kind of your if you don't already have one, I would say this is one of the first things you might need is a brand video. Brand videos are I would say the kind of typically what we find brands typically do first. It's their first video. It's your story, right? Brand videos, I would say, especially if you're an early stage company or startup or you're fundraising, brand videos are a necessity, right? They tell your story, right? It might be as simple as kind of like who you are and what you do. And it might go more into, if it's an investor video, it might go in more depth into financials and things like that. When it comes to the style of your video, it really depends on what type of business you are. If you're a brick and mortar, you're a brick and mortar, you're a physical location, or you're a B2B business, I typically, recommend docu-style. If you're more like SaaS, more of a conceptual idea, a medical technology, something like that, sometimes I lean more on animation. And if it's more like a product, right, or an enterprise brand, I typically go more narrative or scripted. Again, as for distribution, brand videos make for great about us videos, but again, they can also be used for a lot of different purposes, like fundraising. Right. Best practices for the current climate. Number one, differentiate your communication amidst the noise. Research shows that 43% of consumers think that COVID-19 messaging they're receiving right now is just too similar, right? A lot of it, you probably saw that UGC content. A lot of brands are kind of phoning it in with just the same UGC content. Look, it works, especially in the early days of this thing. But I think you really start thinking a little bit outside of the box, right? Also, keep your content fresh. Everyone seems to be copying and pasting, but kind of rest assured, we're doing everything we can, line of communication, rather than speaking from the heart. Rather than that, like speaking from the heart, differentiate yourself, right? Really think about what your story is. What is your customer story, right? Really connect with them emotionally, right? Or even humorously. We did some ads for Drizzly, the drink ordering app, during the pandemic that are really great and they're humorous. And it doesn't have to be depressing. There's a lot of things that we can there's a lot of positives that are happening. I can tell you that there are some positives about being at home with your family that I didn't have the opportunity to do before this. So sometimes it doesn't have to be a gloom and doom message. It can be a positive message, or it can be an uplifting message. Create content with a viewing platform in mind. Ask yourself, what device will my audience be viewing this video on? What platform will they view it on? Is it a cell phone, right? Is it their desktop? Is it their television, right? Make sure you're creating videos to be viewed on whatever platform you're being viewed on, right? Again, we'll talk a little bit about OTT later, but we've got a lot of clients that are actually running OTT ads because we have such a dedicated audience in front of their televisions the past 6 months. When you are running mobile ads or ads that are supposed to be viewed on the phone, focus on subtitles, captions rather than music or voiceover. Right. What content is my audience searching for and sharing? Find out what content your unique audience is actively searching for and wants to watch. Besides creating videos based on what consumers want to watch, figure out what videos they find so amazing that they want to share with others, right? So really think about who your audience is, right? It's not always going to be the same, right? If you have a product, if you have a physical business, if you have a SaaS solution, if you are an agency or a service company, really try to think about where your audience lives and what message they want to hear. All right, and I think that is the end of my presentation. So I will hand it back to Rachel.
That was awesome, Chad. Thank you so much. A quick sort of curiosity around exactly how Lemonlight is handling production during COVID-19. Obviously, it's a hands-on role that a lot of videographers play. So maybe you can speak to that because I bet a lot of other folks are wondering too.
Yeah. So it's definitely been quite the roller coaster, as you can imagine, because so much of what we do requires physical people showing up to physical locations. In the first couple of months, again, we were really leveraging UGC. I saw somebody ask what UGC was. It's user-generated content. So essentially, like relying on these type of Zoom type testimonials, people are doing it with their phones, utilizing content that you already have. So really relying on the user to provide the content. Number two, again, leveraging stock footage. We've done more post-production only projects in the last 6 months than we've done maybe in the last 6 years. So either content that you already own, for our clients we've been working with for years, content that are in our databases, or maybe it's just stock footage, right? From Dissolve or Video Blocks. There's some amazing stock footage out there that looks great. It looks commercial quality. So we've been doing a lot of that, and that's really affordable too. So that's also an option. But I would say in the last kind of 3 months, we are back to normal. We are shooting everywhere. I would say it's more about PPE. It's more about the PPE and we have our COVID guidelines. Our employees are being tested regularly. Actors have to provide test results prior to coming to set if you have actors on set. And it's really just limiting the number of people on set. All of these things are great for you, the brand, or you, the agency, because what that also means by leaner productions, it means lower cost. So inherently, I was actually just reading in the Wall Street Journal, Ford's agency was saying that like the production cost is like 30% of what it used to be because there's like 8 people on set versus 80 people on set. So we're just seeing a lot leaner productions. And yes, it is lower production value maybe, but it's not lower production quality. So you're getting high quality still.
Totally. And we're seeing a lot of that also in the world of video production, or sorry, not video production, event production. Obviously, there's a lot of cost savings when it comes to no more travel expenditures, as well as food and beverage costs, room and board. So I think this is really forcing a lot of industries to realize that maybe there was some fluff in the sort of like before COVID sort of mentality to how we got work done. And that's not to say it'll stay this way forever, but definitely some silver linings in the meantime. Okay, so thank you for speaking to that. I'm sure that just scratched a big itch that a lot of people had. As far as startups, so we do have quite a few startup founders and different folks working at startups on the line. If they have no experience with video marketing and zero branded video content, where the heck do they start?
Wow, that's a great question. When thinking about video, I think you really need to think about your strategy of your business, right? So where are you in your life cycle? Like I said earlier, are you fundraising right now? If you're fundraising right now, the number one thing you need a brand video. You need an investor video, right? You again want to cut through the noise, right? You want to be able to get into that VC's office and you want to have a quick and dirty 1-2 minute video that tells exactly who you are and why they want to invest, right? They don't want to read an 80-page deck. I actually just got off a call recently with an investor. Actually, we do videos for, and he was actually complaining about that. He said, "Oh, I love how your deck is only like 10 pages, right?" It's really important. It's really important nowadays to leverage video to do that. And again, it doesn't have to be done expensively. So I would say, knowing where you are, what's your goal right now? Is your goal to drive? Are you a SaaS company? Are you trying to drive a lot of user acquisition? Right? If you're trying to do user acquisition, maybe you need to be focusing on, and you're spending a lot of money on paid media. And sorry, I speak really fast. I saw in the comments, so I apologize for that. I'm a fast talker. So I would say that focusing on top of funnel, creating ads that are short form, right? That are meant to run on Instagram or Facebook or wherever your audience is, that's meant to drive user acquisition. Are you a blog, right? Are you is it more important for you to be creating content that's to be consumed, right, by your audience on a regular basis? So really understanding what your main goal is before just making a video. I see so many people. I actually just got off a call with a product company, and the product company wanted to make an animation. I don't know why. They want to make an animated video. And I said, why? They said, well, it's the cheapest. And I said, you have a physical product. What's an animated video going to do for your business? Right? So don't do something because it's the cheapest, right? Don't do something because you think you need this. Make what you need that is going to help with your marketing strategy. So think about your marketing strategy first.
Love it. Thank you for that. So kind of speaking to that same startup community and startup audience, obviously when you're bootstrapping, you don't necessarily have a ton of resources to play with. So what would you recommend some of these startups really focus on in terms of filming branded video content with a smartphone? Should they focus on content quality or quantity? I'm sure you've got some opinions there, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
So I want to separate branded content from like social posts, right? So branded content inherently is representing your brand, right? It's living on your website. It is maybe like it's your banner ads. It's everything that's like going out into like the internet ether or the physical world that represents your brand. No, I do not advise you make your branded content with your iPhone. I would not do it. Myself, even if I was starting a business out of my basement, because at the end of the day, do you want people to take you seriously, take your brand seriously? I will not take you seriously if you have a low quality, video. It's the same thing. Would you draw a sign on a piece of cardboard and put it outside your restaurant? No, you wouldn't. And you need to take your video seriously too. Now, when it comes to like posting on LinkedIn, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it would be cost prohibitive, and we're fairly affordable. It would be cost prohibitive for you to hire us to make every single one of your social posts. You should 100% be going on LinkedIn, be going on Facebook, doing your own live streams, creating your own your own webinars, creating your own podcasts. You should be doing that stuff, and you should be doing it yourself. And actually, if you check out our resources page, we have some posts about what equipment you can. There's some really simple equipment you can get that will make it look so much better.
I should check that out. Thank you. Okay, so still kind of on the money question.
Yeah.
How much of a brand's budget should be allocated toward video marketing?
Yep. So again, it needs to start with your marketing budget. So typically, you're seeing from I would say large established brands, to startups, ranging from 10% to 30% of your revenue, right, or your investment should be spent on marketing, right? And that's unfortunately when you're early stage, it's 30%. When you're established, maybe it's closer to 10%. But it's somewhere in that range. And then from that marketing budget, you should be spending somewhere between 10 to 20% on video. So figure out your marketing budget, and then 10 to 20%, and I'm sorry, not just video, I would call it content. So 10 to 20% should be on creative content, which could be photo, video, animations, graphic design, copywriting. And then within that 10 to 20%, I will say that basically if you're running paid media, you should be spending 10% on creative every single month. So if you're running $10,000 a month, you should be spending a minimum of $1,000 a month on paid media content, right? Your creative will get stale very quickly within weeks. So when we're working with a client, especially with a limited budget, I would rather make you more with less. So let's not do the big fancy production with 20 actors and the whole 9 yards, and we're filming in Aspen. Let's maybe go with stock footage. Let's go super cheap, and let's make you more ads so you can A/B test.
Yeah. But darn, that trip to Aspen sounds great.
It does, especially right now.
Oh, yeah, totally. So just out of curiosity, what video distribution channels are your clients currently experiencing the most return on investment?
Depends on the business.
Okay.
I would say if you're B2C, I mean, look, there's no question. It's Facebook and Instagram is still the leader of the pack. So yeah, I would say that's. I actually just on a call just recently, I just answered that exact same question. I said, look, their plan was to start with kind of Facebook and Instagram, and they're B2C. They're actually a local business in DC. So they're a physical property. They're like a restaurant and coffee shop. They're about to open. They are not spending money because of COVID. They're actually going the opposite. They're about to open. They need to let people know that they are doing touchless delivery and everything else. So it's not a time to put your head in the sand. They're actually going the opposite. They're spending more to make sure that their audience knows that they're there. They're also a brand new business. So I would say that Facebook and Instagram, if you're a B2C brand, if you're B2B, obviously LinkedIn is going to be one of the biggest leaders of the pack. Also, just kind of traditional sales. I would say if you're B2B, there is nothing better than a case study video. Who is your customer, right? I've got a few different ones that we do a lot. I do a lot of education. I do a lot of technology. We do a lot of product. We do a lot of B2B. So making sure that you have a case study video that actually has a customer testimonial talking about how much they love you. If you're B2B, there's nothing better than that. Throw in your emails, throw in your website, post it on LinkedIn. That's where I would go if you're that route. So maybe more like traditional outreach. And then you know what I'm really hot on Pinterest right now. I love Pinterest. I think, I got a lot of like stats behind Pinterest, but it's something like over 90% of Pinterest's audience is actively looking to buy something. There is no social media platform that can boast that, not one, right? Amazon's not really social media. Amazon, I would say, is another advertising platform that 100% of the audience is there to buy something. But Pinterest is great because if it doesn't have to be a physical product, you can target a very niche market. If most of the people on Pinterest are like, they're looking to renovate their house, they're looking for fashion tips, they're looking for it's a lot of like lifestyle. So if you are a lifestyle brand of any sort, that could be a restaurant. I would say that's a great space. Great space to advertise. It's not as crowded as Instagram.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Pinterest is one of my favorites. So that's a really interesting distinction that you're making too, if you're B2B versus B2C. So thank you for outlining that for the audience here. So this question is actually highly relevant to the Ripple Effects team because we've been talking about doing this. So again, super excited to hear your thoughts. If a brand wants to include their team in a video, what tips would you give them for being on camera? And I'll actually add to that, especially when some folks are probably a little more comfortable being on camera than others.
Yeah. Well, I would say first and foremost, make sure you get a good night's rest. Drink a lot of water. You want to when filming professionally, you want to look good on camera. You want your skin to look good. You want to glow, right? Hair and makeup is an extra expense to every production. And I would say that most of the time, our clients don't want to spend the extra expense. It depends. If it's a fairly large production, you're already spending a lot of money to have talent and the whole 9 yards there. Spend the extra money to have hair and makeup. If it's just you on camera, maybe go to Sephora or something and get your makeup and hair done beforehand. It is costly to have a professional hair and makeup person on set. But if you do have multiple people on camera or talent, it might make sense to do that.
Yeah.
But I would say that's kind of like look wise is important, right? And then second is going to be your narration, right? If you're talking on camera, I would, number one, make sure not to be scripted, right? You don't want to be following a teleprompter because, most of us are not broadcasters. I mean, I work in video production and I'm not a professional broadcaster. So you don't want to be scripted, reading off a teleprompter. You will look like a robot. What I would recommend is have interview questions and then have talking points that you kind of prep beforehand, because at the end of the day, we can edit stuff out. So, right. So you can have an and but and pauses, awkward pauses, that can all be cut out.
For sure. In terms of common video mistakes, I'm a huge sucker for hearing about blunders in all kinds of different spaces. What are some of the big common mistakes that you're seeing brands continually make that they should avoid? And maybe going beyond just brands, but like individuals too, maybe on their own little LinkedIn videos and things like that.
Video length. It's not even a question. It's by far the biggest mistake. I can't tell you how many founders, how many business. I mean, we're talking large brands too. I mean, we have a brand that we're working with. It's a medical brand, big time, like $1 billion company. The CEO wanted a 20-minute video, and he said that's what CEOs want to see. And I said, you're wrong. First, and I had to show him all this data that basically said, why people don't consume 20-minute videos. He said, well, find me data that's about C-level executives that don't, C-level executives that don't watch, 20-minute videos. So I had to go find that article, and it's a fact. It's the biggest mistake. If you are not able to tell your story in 1 to 2 minutes max, then it's a you problem. That's your problem. That's not the video production company's problem. That's not your consumer's problem. It's your problem. You need to have your elevator pitch down 30 seconds, right? But I would say for a brand video or an investor video, there's a lot of numbers you got to get out there. There's a story to tell. So I would say like 1 to 2 minutes for like a brand video is ideal. With short form, with digital content, I mean, it has gone less and less and less and less. When we first started this company, we were making 2-minute YouTube pre-roll ads. Like you've seen them, like they just run and run and run. The thing is you're getting charged once it hits 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how long it is. You're just wasting your breath. And it honestly, it just costs more, right, to make. So I would say like ad content, super short form. I actually like 6-second ads. That's what we're producing a ton of right now. It costs equally as much for you to make one. I can make you 4 like 15-second spots or less for the same price it makes to make one video. So you're making, and that's with really any video production company. So you can get a lot more. But again, what are you making, right? I don't want to make you a 15-second brand investor video. So think about what you're making. But again, I would say, especially with ads, I'd go shorter. Shorter is better.
Noted. Thank you. I know attention spans are at an all-time low, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So going back to some of the stats that you shared at the beginning of your presentation, obviously there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that video consumption is only going to continue to rise. And just out of curiosity, what does the future of video look like as far as you're concerned, in your opinion? Where do we go from here?
There's a lot, right? So what's so interesting, when we started this company, believe it or not, YouTube was the only social media platform that had native video, right?
Wow, yeah.
I mean, of any of the big names that you guys have heard of that are still around, right? So we only created YouTube content. That was it. That's all we did. And there were other DSPs and things like that where you could serve video. But when it came to social media, it was YouTube. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but like you'd have to post your YouTube video within Facebook. You'd have to post your YouTube video within LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, they all have native video. So a lot has changed over 7 years. Where I see, I think, the most white space, the more area for growth and for untapped market is OTT, is over the top TV, right? So when you guys go on to watch Prime Video, right? So we're an Amazon Alpha partner. We're one of, I think, a handful of partners that Amazon uses to create OTT ads, right? So if I go to look at a Vitamix blender, and which we just got, love it, by the way. You didn't get one of Prime Day. They're amazing.
They are amazing.
So you go there, you see a Vitamix blender, and they're not my client, so just love it. Yeah, free customer testimonial. So if I go to look at the Vitamix blender on Amazon, and then I go to like, I don't know, A&E, or I go to Fire Stick, or I go to Amazon Prime, and I go to watch Flip Wars, which I'm currently watching, and I will get served ads. Now I can now get served that same Vitamix blender ad that I was looking at. So you get the targeting that you get with digital, but you get that linear TV storytelling. So this actually goes against what I just said, which is I can now tell you a long form story, right? Because I have a dedicated audience that is stuck in front of the television, right? I can't skip the ad. I want to watch the rest of my show. And now I can get broadcast quality TV ads, but I get digital targeting. So I think, OTT, CTV ads are what I'm most excited about. And they're cheap.
Thank you. And out of curiosity, where do we go from here with Lemonlight? What's in store for you?
Yeah. Well, I will say, we've always prided ourselves on the idea of revolutionizing video content. And that meant 7 years ago, that was making content super affordable, literally for every business deserves video content. Every business deserves to tell their story. And we've worked with mom and pops, like literally working out of their house, to Charbroil is one of our clients. So it definitely spans the gamut. And again, there is a way to make video content within any budget, pretty much. Even if that's zero, I'm happy to give you advice on how to make it yourself. So that's how we started. I would say next, it became, how do we help brands develop a content strategy? It's more than just having a video that lives on your site. It's how do I continually engage my customers throughout the marketing funnel? the third kind of priority for us was performance creative. How do we actually deliver on ROAS? How do we help brands actually get more return from their ad spend? And then our fourth, now our next step in our life cycle, what we want to do next, we're actually creating some technology to do it yourself, right? Which is going to lower the cost for you. You can go on, you can book a shooter, you can do an edit only job like a stock video. So we're actually rolling out some technology next year that will allow you to kind of like go on to Lemonlight and actually make a video yourself. And that's going to help us with all of our same initiatives. Make video more affordable, make it more accessible, make it quick return, and then finally provide a lot of the feedback and tips and tricks to actually make video that converts better.
Is that going to be like a mobily optimized tool that you guys are offering?
It'll be mobily optimized, but it will not have an app just yet. It'll be more of it'll be more of a desktop type solution.
Awesome. That's so exciting to hear.